Is Bryce Young bad or is it the situation? And the way I parse it out, it's about 80 to 20 both. So last season for the Carolina Panthers, Panthers fans, cover your ears. 2-15, the worst team in football, the only team in the NFL to not hold a lead in any game entering the fourth quarter, not even once. Not only that, they didn't hold a lead at any point in the fourth quarter all year long. Their 2 wins last year came off of last-second field goals, so technically when there was time left on the clock in the game in the fourth quarter, they never held a lead. And yet and still, they did not end up with the number 1 overall pick befitting the worst team in football because they traded it to the Bears, who drafted the best quarterback of a generation while they have Bryce Young. We will do more breaking down of Bryce Young very shortly. We have decided that we are not doing the what's more likely with the Panthers because we all kind of know what the answer is. Not really an interesting thing. So we're just going to go straight into the first question. Did this team do enough to quote unquote fix Bryce Young? From the coaching hires to the free agency to the trades, did they do enough?
To answer your question, I think they're on their way to doing enough.
Okay.
I don't think they got the job completely done. I feel like there's a few pieces and a few holes that they're missing. We still have to prove what they're going to do on the offensive line. Like you said, you're an offensive line savant. And to me, I'll just be real. Just watching Jim Harbaugh do what he did with Michigan, knowing that the only way I'm going to beat Ryan Day is just whoop his ass on the offensive line. Like, that just made me realize how important that is.
Yep.
So for you, quick question. I want to answer. I have more of the skill players, but on the offensive line, do you see them?
I was going to start with the offensive line. They
Please
made
go.
2 very important signings on the offensive line with Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. Some people might say they overpaid for him. The guard market exploded this offseason. It is what it is. The price is the price. And they needed to improve their offensive line situation desperately. Interior-wise, they got better. That's kind of not the issue. The issue is their left tackle, Ike Ekwonu, who they spent a top 10 pick on 2 years ago, played like dog shit last year. Absolute dog shit. Now, it's an offensive line coach term where if you're watching from the end zone view of the camera and you're watching your offense go that way, imagine for people who play Madden or college football game, the Madden angle where you're watching the back of your offensive line. You will hear the offensive line coach say, "I'm so sick of seeing the front of your jersey." Every time you end up getting beat. That was Ike Ekwonu last year. You watch some of these Panthers games, it was so bad. Again, if you're watching this or listening to this, leave a like and then go over to the QB School on YouTube. He has a whole playlist of all the Panthers games he broke down when he was talking about Bryce Young. It's like every other play, left tackle's getting his ass whooped. Left tackle's getting his ass whooped. Left tackle's getting his ass whooped. And I had such high hopes for him, not only because I liked him in NC State, was because his first game of his rookie year, he had Myles Garrett across from him. Now Myles Garrett whooped his ass, obviously.
Right.
Your first game in the league, they threw you to the literal lions. Like, of course, like that's going to happen to you. But I was like, okay, can't get much worse from there. And he was for the rest of the year. To take such a step back when you know how much your team needed you this year. They drafted a 5'9", 200-pound quarterback.
Yeah.
And he came in the next year a significantly worse player. And I don't mean to just keep on Ike Ekwonu, because my West African brother, he's Nigerian, I'm Sierra Leone. I don't want to keep dogpiling on him, but he's the key to this offensive line, because when you have a quarterback that small, he can't really keep taking these hits to his blind side. Bryce Young was already the second most sacked quarterback of last year. I couldn't find this number, but I'm willing to bet that 40 to 50% of those sacks Came from Mickey. I'm willing to put money on it. I'm looking at these numbers, right? And you brought up the CJ Stroud thing earlier, and this is why I wanted to bring it back up, because one of the stats is I was looking through the Bryce Young things. I want to just kind of do a full Bryce Young convo, because last year it was a lot of, okay, is Bryce Young bad or is it the situation? And the way I parse it out, it's about 80 to 20 both. 80% the situation's bad. 20% Bryce Young shouldn't have been the number one overall pick, even discounting how awesome CJ Stroud was. It's like, some of the things we loved about Bryce Young maybe aren't as great as we thought. We thought he was a better athlete. I call it Baker Mayfield disease, where it's, oh, you're a great college athlete. You're not a great NFL athlete. And then some of the stronger arm throws we saw him make in college, you see him attempt the same thing in the league, and it doesn't have that same oomph as it did when he was at Alabama winning a Heisman. It just didn't look the same coming off of it. That could be a confidence thing because of the offensive line. We'll never know until we get into this season. But speaking of throws, before I throw it back to you, just to piece it up with the CJ Stroud point. So one of the stats I looked at was bad throw percentage. Is just an inaccuracy stat. Accounts for pressure and miscommunications, and this deduces down how much of the throws that left your hand were bad throws, things that the receiver had to make an incredible adjustment to, off target, blah blah blah. Bryce Young led the league in bad throw percentage. Sounds terrible. CJ Stroud was number 2. And CJ Stroud's main specialty is decision making and ball placement. So you can kind of take it or leave it with those type of numbers, is what I ended up bringing it back to when it came to the Bryce Young situation. We talked about the offensive line earlier. I'll let you get into the skill players. I'll let you. The floor is yours when it comes to the skill players.
Fair game. You made really valid points on Bryce Young and what he had to endure for that season, and I wanted to I like to make debates and arguments too as well. So I'm never gonna just always agree.
Go for it.
I wanted to get something, but you said everything just like on the on the line. So because even when you said Bryce Young not the same in college compared to him in the NFL, right? And I was like, yeah, but when you're getting your head knocked off every 5 seconds, in the moment, it's super intense. It gets you into a different psyche. Getting hit every 5 seconds, his balls are not going to be accurate nowhere near anybody who can't even get alone. Like, I'm going to the specialty guys, Adam Thielen, who couldn't even get off of any cornerback in the NFC South. That's even including Carlton Davis and Winfield. Like, what are we talking about when what Bryce Young had to endure? You're telling me that CJ Stroud, and I got that, and this is where I wanted to fight you at in our battle you were debating some situation.
Go for it.
CJ Stroud had opportune time to, off of a play. I remember CJ Stroud off a play action would just be like, just wide open, just surveilling the field. Oh, let me throw it to Schultz. I know if you remember, there was a play where he just.
I know the exact play you're talking about. It was against the Colts. So, I know the exact play you're talking about.
Does Bryce Young even get close to what? And I believe it's Frank Wright, right?
Yeah.
Who I love, honestly. I like that coach. We'll obviously get into Tepper and how he's made his decisions. But, yeah, like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, like CJ Stroud with Carolina Panthers, you're telling me that he would have done better? Like, maybe because he's stronger and 6'3". I don't think that's a thing, Bryce. I don't think we could get that. Like, if you're getting hit, you're getting hit. It don't matter. You're a human being.
Define better, because I don't think anyone was going to be able to succeed in that Panther situation last year.
No,
and that goes beyond even what's on the field, because you brought up Tepper. Fuck it, great opportunity to bring him in. Organizational stability is a very real thing. As I know, living in Prince George's County, Maryland, about 10 to 15 minutes away from FedEx Field, where the Washington formerly racial slurs, now Commanders play, Dan Snyder's stench on that franchise led to continued failure and poverty. And I feel like now that Dan Snyder is out of the league, he has passed the baton to David Tepper. Panthers fans, once again, close your ears. I got to run off just how bad David Tepper has been for this team for people who are not familiar. David Tepper bought the Panthers in 2018. They have played nearly 100 games. They have only won 31 of them. They have a 31% win percentage. It is the worst in the NFL. He has had 0 winning seasons, 0 playoff ability, and 0 clue what to do at head coach or quarterback. Since 2018, the Panthers, here's what they've done at head coach. Ron Rivera kept the job for a year and a half when he first got it. Matt Rule had it for 2.5 years because they paid him a bunch of money. Frank Reich had it for less than a year. When they fire him? Week 8?
Yeah.
And Dave Canales to be determined. At quarterback, they have had a different starting quarterback to start the season every single year. Their leading passers, Cam Newton in 2018, that was the year TJ Watt separated his shoulder. Kyle Allen in 2019, Teddy Bridgewater 2020, Sam Darnold 2021, Baker Mayfield 2022, and they ended up trading him halfway through the season, and obviously Bryce Young last year. There has been not a single ounce of organizational stability in Carolina as compared to what we now see we have in Houston with Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans, that GM head coach combination. You throw in a Bobby Slowick with the offensive coordinator situation. Would Bryce Young have been significantly better in Houston? Hell yeah. Would he have been as good as CJ Stroud? I say no. I say no because that's very unfair to do in hindsight, but I can say for a fact, no quarterback, Tom Brady himself, could have went to Carolina and they would not have been a playoff team based on the setup of that franchise, that everything that could have possibly went to shit in Carolina did. And unfortunately, most of the shrapnel fell on Bryce Young.
And I agree with you on that too, because Tepper has definitely been I don't know, he's just been a disgrace to that organization that he bought. And to compare him to Dan Snyder, I'm gonna go one a little bit better than this one.
I can't wait.
I believe David Tepper is more comparable to Steve Ballmer from the LA Clippers more than Dan Snyder.
Oh my Lord.
Because if Tepper is doing more, if Tepper is doing something disturbing.
Wait, before you continue the analogy, do you mean Donald Sterling?
No. I mean Ballmer.
Steve Ballmer, the current owner of the Clippers. Okay, just clarifying. Continue.
Because I think it was a Hard Knocks that we were watching, that there was like the Carolina Panthers like facilities look like crap, and Tepper was like, "Oh, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to put some money into this team." And I think it was Hard Knocks that he did that, and he gives me those Steve Ballmer vibes, because Steve Ballmer's like, "Oh, I got to do this, and I'm going to get my team rowdy and yada yada yada." But what you're not focusing is on what the actual product is on the field or court to make that team better, whether if it's Kawhi Leonard or whether if it's getting Bryce Young for the first round overall pick. And I take that back with the Frank Reich. I do not like that coach. I admit Doug Peterson is who I liked, because both of them were confused. Got confused. Both of them were with the Eagles. Had a stint, right?
Yep. When they stole the Super Bowl from my Patriots, yes.
Yeah, I apologize for that for you.
That year.
Okay, now they got this new coach in from Tampa. And I'm like, how am I supposed to read off this after you just got Frank Reich? It makes absolutely no sense. And then the draft picks that they got, like we were going to say, it's the specialty guys, Xavier Legette, a.k.a. Debo 2.0. And once he gets hands.
Ooh, I got a better comparison for Xavier Legette.
If you're giving me DK Metcalf, then I'm out.
I've been calling him deep fried Des Bryant this whole time. His high-end play, he's not fully developed as a player yet because he only got on the field for like a year at South Carolina.
I like that.
I don't know why in the transfer portal era he stayed on that team for so long and didn't go somewhere where he could have played sooner, but you can call that loyalty. I call it a waste of your time. Me personally, I'm not a traditionalist in that sense. But sure. I like Xavier Legette. I think his best football is ahead of him. If you expect him to be a number one receiver this season, you're kidding yourself.
Right. And that they got the fact that they got as I would say, Jatavion Sanders from Texas, Jonathan Brooks, which are great guys. But Jonathan Brooks is coming off an ACL injury, which is my only concern. Is like, all right, guys, like, I mean, I'll take that for you guys, Panthers, but the Sanders guy that's somebody that Bryce can really look forward to connecting with in the near future, as long as they can have somebody to protect him. And I also want to bring up this too. The critics out there always say like, oh, I remember when he got drafted and everybody was saying, oh, Bryce Young is too small as a quarterback. Let's get this first. And you're offensive line savant. So I'm going to ask you this. He had a guy named Caden Proctor who was 6'7", 300 now and 60 pounds. And the average NFL offensive line is 6'5", 315 pounds. And y'all want to tell me and sit here that Bryce Young couldn't throw over any offensive line and he's too small? I don't care if you're playing freaking Alabama State. I don't care if you're playing. You still got to throw over him. Like
my size issue with Bryce Young was it had little to do with the height. It was more the weight. And to be fair, I said the same thing about Jaden Daniels this year. And Jaden Daniels is like 6'5". So like my same concern is like, all right, if you're barely 200 pounds and you're playing quarterback in the NFL, at some point this becomes a safety hazard. Now, to Bryce Young's credit, second most sacked quarterback in the league, third most pressured / hit. That's a tough son of a bitch right there. Yeah, that's a tough guy. He showed he could take a licking and keep on ticking. So I think to close out the Panthers segment and finish off with the divisional order, I feel like this is a 2025 team. This is actually Bryce Young's rookie year that we're gonna watch. Similar to what happened with Trevor Lawrence when he had Urban Meyer in Jacksonville, and then Doug Peterson came the following year. I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoffs and get a win and blah blah blah. We're not getting that, but now we get to see competence. Dave Canales and the staff he put around him is competent. He finally has a legitimate team, and hopefully David Tepper can stay out the way long enough so they can develop. Ike Ekwonu can remember his jersey's supposed to be facing forward and not towards Bryce Young.
Yes.
And now he has receivers that aren't fossils that'll be able to get a little bit of separation away from the corners.